Hello friend, welcome back to my channel. In my previous videos for this data analysis in Power BI, we learned how we can get data from different data sources. Now we are going to learn this data understanding or data profiling. So in any data analysis project, there are different steps. First, business understanding, then we are getting the data, then data profiling. Now getting data and data profiling, both you can combine as data understanding. Okay, so now we are going to understand what does it mean by this data profiling. What is data profiling? For any data analysis project, data profiling is a key step to understand the overall structure of the data. What does it mean by this? Like whatever data we are already importing to our Power BI, and we need to understand what is the structure of the data. That means how many columns are there, how data is distributed over the data table. So all those things we need to understand. That is a first step for this data analysis project. And it helps to describe the data consistency. That means is there any error, is there any missing values, or is there any other problem. So this data profiling will help us to understand the data consistency. This is called data consistency. So if you can find out after this data consistency checking that this data source is not suitable for this project, then we can look for better data source. Okay. Now without this data profiling, results will not be in a proper presentable format. That means if in my data set, if I have different type of errors or missing values or any none values which are giving any problem in the data set, now without data profiling, without data cleaning, we are just moving to the data visualization steps, then the result will not be in a proper format. Okay, it will not give you the a proper result. So for data analysis project, data profiling is the first step before the data cleaning or data transformation or data visualization. First we need to understand the data. Okay, so in our next video we will learn more about this data profiling steps in Power BI. Now we are going to learn how we can identify the data inconsistency, okay, in using our Power BI tool. We all know in Power BI we have Power Query Editor, and it will help us to understand these features. What we are going to looking for this data inconsistency? First, missing values or error values. So let's move on to Power Query Editor. Okay, now we are in Power BI desktop, and I have taken this US Superstore data. Okay, using this is our using this CSV file format. Okay, now I'm just clicking on this transform data. All we know, after clicking this transform data, our Power Query Editor will be open. Okay, now how will you enable this? First, go to this view tab, and you can find out by default this data quality is checked. Okay, let me uncheck this data distribution, and you can observe this data quality is checked already. Here you can find out some valid, error, or empty. Valid rows means like there is no error. That means it has 100% valid data. If it has any error in the data set, then the error percentage will be, for example, 5% or 1%, then valid data will be reflected based on that scenario. Or is there any empty rows? Then it could be possible there are some empty rows. Here empty rows is nothing but the missing values. Okay, so in this way you can check this data consistency using this column quality field. Okay, in our next video we will learn more about this data profiling. How to analyze this data distribution? Okay, for that we need to go to Power Query Editor, and there also we need to enable this column distribution. And why we are enabling this column distribution? To understand the column value distribution, and there you will get distinct values and unique values. So before moving to Power BI, let us first note down this. What does it mean by distinct values in the distribution? Distinct values means how many different values excluded the duplicate values, and unique values are how many values occur exactly once. Now distinct value and unique values will be same if all values are unique. So let's understand from the Power Query Editor. So already I am in Power BI desktop and I have opened this Power Query Editor. Now instead of column quality, I am just clicking on this column distribution, and you can observe 1000 distinct values and 1000 unique values. That means here distinct values and unique values are same because it has all unique values. Whereas for order ID you can get 479 distinct values but unique values is 226. So you can observe the difference here. That means if I can click on this remove duplicates, then it will remove all the duplicates value, but I don't want to do that because for each and every order ID there could be multiple products. Okay, so due to that reason I am not going to clicking on this remove duplicates. So for example, for order date also it has 373 distinct values, 133 unique values. So in this way you can understand how these column values are distributed across this table. Okay, now if you want to do that, right click, you can copy this quality matrix, you can copy this value distribution, you can do keep duplicates, so or remove duplicates or remove empty or remove errors. So all those things you can do that. Okay, so now we have understood how column distribution is working in our Power Query Editor. So now we are going to understand how we can examine the data statistics. What does it mean by this? How we get this information? Similarly, from Power Query Editor, there will be one column profile. Okay, and this column profile will display column statistics like count, max, minimum, average, and also it depends upon the column data type. For example, if it has a numeric value, then obviously it will provide this type of information. If it has a text value, it will provide a different type of information, and from there we can find out the value distribution also. So let's move on to this Power BI desktop. Okay, now I am in Power BI desktop. If I am going to open this Power Query Editor, let me uncheck this column distribution and I am going to select column profile. So by default my column selected as order date. You can find out this is a date data type, so it is displaying count, number of rows there, and how many distinct values, unique values, minimum date, maximum date information, average date information. Okay, if I am going to select one text value, for example zip mode, here you can find out minimum, first class, maximum, one standard. So it is a column distribution. You can observe that standard class, it has 58% values are distributed here, and second class it has 21%, then first class 18%, same day 7%, 1%. If you just click on this and you can copy this information. Okay, similarly if you can click on this and you can copy this information. Let me show you one numeric field. Okay, for example quantity, and you can find out it has distinct value 14 and minimum value 1, maximum 14, average, standard deviation, even, odd, all this information. If you want to check profit information, here is also you can find out minimum minus value. That means in the profit column we have some, it's not in profit, it's a loss information, and it's a maximum value, so average, standard deviation, and this is a value distribution for this column. So in this way you can analyze the column statistics and as well as value distribution. I hope you understood how data profiling we need to do in Power BI. We are going to learn about data cleaning process and data evaluation process. In previous videos, what we learned? We learned how we can import the data, then how we can understand the data. Understand means that going through the data. And after that, if we found some impurity in the data, then how we can clean those data. Okay. Before proceeding with this Power BI explanation, let me tell you, if you need this working file, just go through the description section of this video and you will get the link. Okay. And whatever the sample data I am going to use in this session, that will also provide it. Okay. So let's start. After importing the data, we can observe that there are two buttons, load or transform the data. Transform the data means whenever we are getting any data, so we have to process it, clean it and transform it for our analysis. Okay. So it's not like that we are getting the data and we are creating the visualization. It's not like that. We have to go through all the data analysis steps. Okay. And data processing is the key important steps of any data analysis project. When we are using this transform data, it is going to the Power Query editor. Okay. So Power BI, we know that Power BI is consist of different component. So Power Query editor is the part of this component. And normally this Power Query editor is used for this data transformation. That means it is a powerful ETL tool. Also in Power Query editor, we are using some programming language which is known as M. Okay. And this is case sensitive language. After moving to this Power Query editor, we are doing some data cleaning. That means we are finding some inconsistency and how we can remove those. So we can do some replace error method or replace value method, remove rows method, and instead of that also we can find out the root cause of any error. I'll show you in a minute. Okay. So now we are in Power BI. Okay. So for this, I'm going to import some sample data set. Okay. So click on this. Here you can observe we are getting this load and transform data. So I'm just clicking on this transform data. However, if we click on this load, then it will automatically open in our Power BI editor. Okay. Let me show you that also. And after that, if you click on this transform data, then automatically this Power Query editor will be open. Okay. Now, in this sample data, I have some of the columns. Okay. Category, customer, postal code, sales, order date, all those things. Now this Power Query editor supports different type of data type. If we, for example, if I click on this column, right click, and you can find out decimal, fixed decimal, whole number, percentage, date time, date, and so on. Text, boolean, binary, and using locally. Using locally, we are using for this date time data type. And by default, whenever we are importing any file, by default, it will consider some data type. But for our requirement purpose, we are changing this to a proper data type. So, if you observe, by default, it is considering text. But we know that postal code is normally a integer value or numeric value. So, if I right click and change type, now if you want to change this to whole number, okay. Now you can observe we are getting error. Okay. If you click on any column, you can find the description that we could not convert to number because of this value. For some countries, we are using this postal code denote. So for that reason, would you need to change the data type. Okay, so and if you want to revert back to the old area, you can just click on this and it will remove that. Here we have this cells value. Okay, and it's also showing the text, but definitely we need the cells value in whole number or the decimal number, mainly the decimal number. But if I let us see what is happening if I convert to the decimal number. You can observe we are getting some error. Why is it so? Here are different options. We can replace values, we can replace errors, remove errors and remove duplicates, all those things. If I am going to select this remove errors, okay, this error column will be removed. But it could be possible that the other field for these corresponding rows are very important. We cannot delete the data in that way. So there is another possibility is replace the errors. But with which value we can replace the errors? How we can replace these errors? Let us see. If I click on this error column, we can find out that NA. That means is there some text value. Okay, so that means there is no value. So we can replace this NA with 0. How we can do that? Just right click, replace error and give some value 0. You can observe it has been replaced with 0 and the data type has been changed. And here we have added another step, replaced errors. Okay, so we have observed how we can replace the error instead of removing the errors. It could be possible there are many rows and you want to remove all those rows, because from here you can find out the statistics. Okay, so there are some percentage of error you can remove from your dataset, but definitely it's based on your requirement. Okay, another thing is that we can replace the values. Okay, for example, here we have this technology value. Let me replace with this value is a different name. Okay, so if I'm writing here technology and replace with technology underscore new, so my value has been replaced. So we can observe how we can this replace value. Now this date type is also very important field. We can observe by default it is considering this order date as text. Okay, if we just click on this, so you can observe it is considering as text. So before transforming to the date type, let us check what is the date timestamp locally it is following. If I click on this using locally, by default it is considering this United Kingdom timestamp. But before changing to, you can convert it to US timestamp also based on your customer requirement. Okay, in this data set, my date is in UK format. That means DDMMYYY. Okay, so I'm not changing anything here. I'm just clicking OK and right click, then date. So my date has been converted to this date type. Okay, so in this way you can evaluate your data type for different corresponding fields, okay, based on the requirement. And it's not like that you need to convert everything in one shot. It's based on the requirement. You can keep on updating, and whenever if you have applied any steps, all your steps will be added here. If you go back to every steps and you can observe what are all the changes you have done for that corresponding steps. Okay, if I click on this, you can find out you have done this replace values. Another thing, if you click on this replace error, you can observe that you have changed this error with this 0 value. So in this way, all your changes are on track in this Power Query editor. After changing everything, you just need to click on close and apply. Okay, and your dataset has been created. Okay, so as we have changed this to date type, that's why automatically it will create this date hierarchy. If it is in text type, this hierarchy will never be created. Okay, and this number field, so by default it will consider some aggregation rules. So others are, it's a text value, and these are also some text value. Okay, so in this way you can do some data cleaning process and your data type evaluation process. I hope from this video you learn how you can do this data processing. In this data analysis in Power BI series, we are going to learn about data shaping. That means after importing the data, after cleaning the data, we need to give a proper shape in our data set for our analysis. Okay, and for our next exploratory data analysis steps, that and as well as in our visualization steps. Okay, so in this data shaping, I will show you how we can use this pivot and unpivot options in Power Query Editor and the transpose option in Power Query Editor. Also in Power Query, there are so many options are available, but in this series, I will concentrate on these 2-3 options. So for this analysis, I will import one sample dataset. So here I have some sample dataset. Click on this and open. Okay, so in the first worksheet, I have this dataset. In the second worksheet, I have this. Third, I don't have anything, so I will import this 2 worksheet for this analysis. So my dataset is ready. Let me go to transform data. Now we are in Power Query Editor. Okay, so here you can observe I have 3 columns: year, measure val name and measure values. In measure name, you can observe product quantity, sales, discount, and these are profit. Then again quantity, sales, discount, profit. That means I have 4 measures and the corresponding values. Also in the year column, I have 2020 data and 2021. So here we have these 4 different type of measures in a single column. But we want to change this format and we want to create 4 different measures. So how will you do that? Just go to transform, select this measure name, press Ctrl key and click on this measure value. Click on pivot column and you can find out the use the names in the column measure name and the value columns is measure value. Now what is the aggregation? Here by default it will take summation, but I will click on this don't aggregate. Here you can observe that 2020 I'm getting product quantities, product sales, product discount, product profit and these 2 rows. So in this way you can create your data in a pivot format. So you can say you're shaping your data for your analysis. Now if you want to move on to unpivot format, how will you do that? Just click on these 4 columns and unpivot columns. Because I'm not selecting the unpivot other columns. I'm just selecting unpivot only selected columns. That also I can do that. Or unpivot columns. If I click on that, automatically it is going back to unpivot shape. But here the measure name is not there and the values is there, but it calls as attribute. Now based on your analysis, you can change. So you observe how we can use the pivot format and unpivot format. Let me show you another transpose data format. Now we are going to this second worksheet. If you can remember, in Excel, we have this transpose option. Okay, so here also we have this transpose option. You can observe I have column 1 to column 11 in this way. Just click on this, click on transpose and it is automatically in a transpose format. So in your project, you will get this type of requirement. So you can use this pivot, unpivot or transpose, all those things for your data shaping. Also, after transposing this thing, maybe you think, okay, I don't need that. You can delete this option, transpose table. Okay, so now it will be go back to your original shape. You just need to delete this applied steps. So in these query steps, using all these query steps, you can provide a proper shape in your data set. Let me show you another thing. If you go to add column, here you can observe we don't have any index. Okay, so you can add one index column. Click on this and it will be automatically created. So you can click on this, it will start from 0 or it will start from 1, or you can provide some custom values. So if you click on 1, in this way also index column will be created. So it's a very good feature. If we in our data set, if indexing is not present, and definitely for our data model, we need some index column, some key column for our joining with the other relationship tables, we definitely need this index column. So I hope from this video, you are able to learn how you can do pivot table option, unpivot, transpose, how we can play around with your query steps. Also, how we can use these add column features. There are a lot many options. You can try it out from your practice purpose. In this video, for this data analysis in Power BI series, we are going to learn how we can combine our data set. That means if you have multiple tables, okay, and if you want to combine two tables in Power Query Editor, how will you do that? So under combine queries method, we have merge and append. For this analysis purpose, I will also import some sample dataset. Don't worry, I'll provide you this sample dataset. Just go through the description section of this video and you will find all the links. Okay. First, I'm importing this Excel workbook. In this sample dataset, I have this 5 worksheet. So I will import everything. Okay. So all our tables are populated. Let me go to transform data. Okay. Now we are in Power Query Editor. First, I start with this main table. So in this table, we have this year, month, category name and count. But if you can observe, our category name, staff, resident, visitor, agent, everything is in alphabetical order. Okay. So definitely it will start with agent, then all those alphabetical area. But I want to display the report in a different order. First, I want to display resident information, then staff information, then visitor, then agent. So I will add one sorting column in this data set. How will I do that? I have this category sort ordered a small table. I have just created the sort order in the corresponding category name. Okay. So you just need to go to main table. And here we have options, merge queries under this home tab. Just click on this merge queries and merge queries as new. So I will create a new table. I will not merge with this table. I'll just create a new table. Here you can observe we need to provide some relationships between these two tables. Left outer, right outer, full outer, inner join, left anti and right anti. And all the description has been provided beside these joining conditions. I will join with this category sort order table. Click on this, then category name, and by default it will take left outer, so don't worry on that. Okay. And my new column has been added with the merge one table. Now, if you click on this area, you can find out expand or aggregate. Expand means it will add this column in this existing table. Aggregate means it will aggregate the data. But in this purpose, I want to do this expand only. And category name, I don't want to include because already it is there. So I will just include sort order. So uncheck this, click on this sort order, and you can use this use original column name. It can be possible some of the tables has the same column name. If I am going to use this category name, I can check this box, okay, because here is also category name, here is also category name, but I will select on this sort order. I can uncheck this one. You can observe corresponding stuff 2, resident 1, visitor 3 and agent 4. All the sort order has been populated. So in this way you can use this merge query options. Let me show you how we can use this append queries option. Append means table 1 and table 2 will do this union join. Okay, maybe in SQL you heard about union. That means it's appending the first table, appending the second table. Okay, I have this main table and here we have data for 2020. If you go to append table, here I have data this 2021. So I will append these 2 tables in a new table. Okay, so let me click on this main table, click on this append queries. Here also we have 2 options, append queries and append queries as new. I'll click on this append queries as new. Okay, 2 tables, or you can join 3 or more tables also. So in this purpose I have 2 tables. The first table is main table, then the second table is append table, then OK. Your new append table has been created. Here you can observe we have 2020 record, then we have 2021. Just below the first table, the second table has been appended. So in this way you can use these append query features. Now I'll show you how we can use these aggregation options in merge queries. For that purpose I have these 2 tables. This table has order ID and the corresponding product count, and this table has daily level information. Order ID has been repeated multiple times and it has a sales. Okay, so first I'll go to this table aggregation because it has some aggregated informations. Now I'll click on this merge queries as new. This is my first table. Then I'm joining with this table, order ID and OK. Now you can select this count of date. We don't need that. Sum of order ID, that also we don't need that. We only need this sum of cells. So sum of cells has been added. So for this particular order ID, the total cells value has been populated. If you want to validate this information, whether it has been done properly or not, you can check that also. For this order ID, we are getting the value 5530. Okay, let's go back to this table. So in this table, first let us select the value. So from this value, definitely you can understand that our summation is working fine. That means our aggregation query is working fine. So in this way, you can use this aggregate option under this merge query section. So in this video, you learn about how we can do these merge queries, and under that merge queries, how you can use this expand option, aggregate options, and also how we can use the append queries. Please check the description section of this video. You will find the sample dataset and this working file also. In our previous videos for this data analysis and Power BI series, we have learned about how we can clean our datasets. In this video, we are going to learn about how we can define the tables. Define the tables is part of our designing the data model. Before proceeding with the visualization sections, we should define our data model. Under this data model design section, we first identify or we first define the tables. That means whatever the data we are importing or whatever the tables we are importing, we have to identify those tables are part of what type of schema? Flat schema, star schema, or snowflake schema. Okay, with some example I will explain you. First, start with this flat schema. Now I will move on to this data section. Click on this table. What does it mean by this flat schema? If you observe, in this table I have order level informations, customer level informations, geography level informations, product level informations, as well as I have sales quantity, discount, profit. That means some fact or measure level informations. In a single file or in a single table, I have all the informations in a denormalized format. Okay, so this is called denormalized format because in this single table we are repeating some informations. That means the product names are repeating multiple times. Customer names are also repeating multiple times. And from this single table we can design our data model and we can derive our visualization reports. This is called flat schema. Second schema, star schema. You may be heard about this star schema diagram. Okay, now I will show you another example. I am moving to this model section. Here I have 4 tables. First, consider the star schema diagram. This is my sales table, CT table, and customer table. In a star schema diagram, we have dimension and fact. What does it mean by dimension? Dimension means it holds the informations about some entity. Okay, that means it's a customer table. It has customer informations. This is a customer ID. That means it's a unique identifier for a customer. It has some customer name. It can have customer address, customer phone number. That means in this table, I have unique information of each customer. Here, customer name will not be repeated. Okay. Another dimension table. This is a CT, or you can say some geography. CT table, I have this CT ID, CT name, and the corresponding state ID. I will come to this table later on. Okay. Now, this is my sales table. Sales table, I have some sales informations. I can have profit information, discount information. That means this table holds the informations about a company's fact. Okay. Company's numerical informations mostly. Also, you can observe here I have CT ID, customer ID, and it is connected with this dimension table. Okay, that means it has CT table or customer table or any dimension table will have some unique identifier, that is an ID column, that is a primary key of that table. And the corresponding relationship key will be there in our fact table. Here we have CT ID, customer ID, and this is a primary key and foreign key relationship. It's there between these two tables. Whatever is the primary key for the customer table, that is a foreign key of this sales table. And if I have more other dimension table, I can add it with this sales table. For example, product table, I can add date dimension. So it will be look like a star. That's why it is called star schema diagram. Third point, snowflakes. Snowflake schema, it's an extension of this star schema. Here we have one state table. If you can observe, this state ID is not available in the sales table, but this state ID is available in the CT table. This state table is considered as a dimension table only, but it is not directly connected with the sales table. It's connected with another dimension table. That means it's a extension of this dimension table. It's a snowflakes way it is increasing. Okay, that's why this type of schema we can say snowflake schema. Why we are doing this snowflake schema? For example, if you have any reporting requirement where you need to display the state informations, then how will you do that? You don't have direct relationship with the sales table, then you have to do some via this CT table, it will connect with the sales table. That's why we are defining this Snowflake schema. Now we will see what is the table properties and the column properties. If I click on this CT table, here we have name, description, synonyms. Also we can define some column which will be used for your row level security, and this is a key column. If I select this CTID, this CTID column will be selected as a key column. Also some property is hidden, is feature table, everything. If I extend this add funds tab, you can find out the storage mode. That means in which connection method you have imported this table. Import option, direct query or dual method. Okay. This is our table properties. If I click on some column, then the similar way it will have some description, synonyms, display folder. We can define this display folder later on. We can look into this display folder in our next series of videos. Okay. Here we'll have is hidden, formatting, and sort by column, data category, summarize by all those information. Also, in this report section, you can click on any column name, you can find out the property level informations. So in this video, we learn about what is flat schema, star schema and snowflake schema, and also we came to know about table properties and column properties. In our previous video, we came to know how we can define our tables. Now in this video, we are going to understand the relationships, cardinality and cross-filtered directions among all those tables. Let me click on this model section. I'm sure you can remember this star schema diagram. Here you can observe I have this 1 and star. That means 1 to many relationships. Let me open this property. I have opened this relationships property section. First, this is my sales table. This is our CT table. And I am joining with this CTID and CTID. So by default, this will be selected. Here we have many to one, one to one, one to many and many to many. Many first is the many to one because sales table has the many informations about this CTID and CT table has only one single informations about this CTID. Okay, it has some single rows and it has many rows. That's a many to one. One to many is also a vice versa version, because for example, if my CT table in the top section and here I have the sales table, then I can select this one to many relationship. Let me show you one example for this one-to-one relationship. If I close this one, if you see here I have 1 and 1. That means it has one-to-one relationships. I have opened this edit relationships area. Here I have this state ID and this state ID. I have one-to-one relationships here. But here we have this many to many relationship. So I don't have that example on that. Many to many, you can obviously you can understand that the relationship between these two tables will be many to many. That means, for example, table A and table B, we are joining with one key element, okay, and that key element has multiple row in the table A and multiple row in the table B. So that will be many to many relationships. Here we have another property, cross-filtered direction. It has two values, single and both. By default, it will have a single for this many to one relationship or one to many relationship. Why? From the CT table, for one record, I have many record in this sales table. So this is a single filter directions. If I have selected this both, that means it has both bidirectional relationship. Let me show you where I can select this both directional. If I open this, Here I am selecting this both because for a particular city, the corresponding state will be fixed. For example, if you have some requirement where you need to define two slicer view, okay, from state selection box, I can get the corresponding city name from the city selection box. Okay, now if I'm going to select West Bengal and I'm getting the city name, all the city name, definitely that is not the right requirement. I should display the corresponding city name for that state name. That's why here we are defining these both filter directions. It's both the way it will filter the record between these two tables. So this is called bidirectional relationships. If you want to know more about these relationships, you can refer Microsoft document. Okay, I'll provide you the link in the description sections. So in this video, we learn about what all the cardinality we have to define a relationships between these two tables and the cross filter directions for single and both, and where we can define the single filter directions and where we can define the both filter directions. In this video, we are going to learn about how we can create hierarchy. Okay, let us understand with some example. For this purpose, I am going to import one CSV file, which is our US Superstore data. Let us click on this load. So your data has been loaded here. So this is a single CSV file. And here is, you can observe, by default, we can get this date hierarchy. So in Power BI, we have some features like if we import some date column, by default, it will create this date hierarchy, year, quarter, month, and day. But if you have one requirement where you need to create one report based on some hierarchical informations, and by default, that hierarchy is not present here, then how will you create that hierarchy? I will give you one example. In this data set, you can observe this category field, okay? And also you have this product ID, product name, also you have this subcategory. So here category, subcategory, product ID and product name, these are all part of product hierarchy. But the automatic hierarchy is not there. Then how will you create that? Let us click on this category. If you click on this more option, you can find out this create hierarchy. Just click on this create hierarchy and your category hierarchy has been created. Let us give some proper naming convention. So I'll give it as a product hierarchy. And the first column is category. Now under this category, there will be subcategory. Then how do you add this subcategory under this product hierarchy? Just click on this more option for this subcategory and add to hierarchy. Click on this product hierarchy. Now you can observe this category, under this category, the subcategory has been placed. Now I want to put this product name also. I'll just click on this and add to hierarchy, product hierarchy. So product name is also in place. Let us create one report on that. Let us create one report using this product hierarchy. I'll just click on this area and you can observe this category, subcategory, product name, everything has been selected. And just select on this sales data. So by default, you can observe your report is like under this category furniture, these are all the subcategory and these are all the product name. So under this furniture, chairs and others, product name is also. Let us create another type of visualization. Click on this matrix view and click on this
product hierarchy here. Now you will select these cells and it will be added in your value column. Now you can observe for the furniture, this is the total sales value. If you click on this plus sign, you can observe under this category how many subcategories are there. For each subcategory, what is the total sales? Now if I click on this bookcases, under these bookcases, what are all the product names are available, and for each product we can observe the sales value. So in this way you can represent your requirement in a proper hierarchical structure. One more thing also you can do, if you right click and expand all the data will be expanded, but the visualization perspective, it's not the right way to do that. So you can also collapse all. So from this video, I hope you understand how you can create one hierarchy if it is not present in your data sets. Okay, thank you. Thanks for watching.